Karl Platt, thanks for being on the show. It's been a long time.
I want to drive or ride as perfect as I can. I must do it. There's no shortcut. I must do it because you want to perform.
I want to win.
Karl Platt is a legend in the world of mountain biking and marathon racing in particular. He has won the iconic Cape Epic an unbelievable 5 times. At 46, he is still racing bikes for Team Bulls, but Karl has also developed a passion for 4-wheel racing.
Everyone would have seen me sitting in your Porsche 911 GT3 RS, which I just got a spin in. Literally, I thought I was going to die.
And then you sit 8 hours on the bike and you think, again 8 hours. Why I'm doing this shit? But then the same moment you said, hey, I achieved so much.
What does success mean to you? And the second part is, what do you think has been the biggest factor in your success? Guys, this is a brand new podcast, and the goal is to interview the most iconic figures in sport and health from around the world. But I need to ask you guys a big favor to please like and subscribe, because it would make a huge difference to the size of this podcast, and ultimately, the bigger the podcast gets, the bigger the guests. Enjoy this episode. Karl Platt, thanks for being on the show. It's been a long time.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. It's an honor to be with you here. I think it's a quite special occasion.
Everyone would have seen me sitting in your Porsche 911 GT3 RS, which I just got a spin in. You
were sweating a little bit.
Literally,
I don't know why.
Literally, I thought I was going to die, even though you claim you had everything under control, but my mind couldn't comprehend the speed we were going.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult in the beginning because if you're not used for that speed. But I must also tell you, recently my son started driving, and I took him on the race course, and I was sitting also in the passenger seat, and I shit myself.
Really?
A little bit. Not really shit myself, but it was like a new experience for me. If your son driving and I tried to teach him, but I was not teaching. I was shouting at him, "Why are you doing this stupid mistakes?
Yeah.
Why are you driving over the rear axle?"
Yeah, it's maybe we can start there. I mean, where did the love for cars kind of come into the mix? I mean, you're known for bikes, and cars are clearly a big part of your life.
So, it's normally, you're right, I'm well known for bicycles, mountain bikes especially, marathon racing, and my mates, they were super interested in cars, and one day they took me to the race course, and then my love started.
And that was it? You were hooked?
I was hooked I was always hooked to cars. I mean, everything what has to do with speed and technique and some exciting things, or skiing, snowboarding, everything exciting outside I love, and I love to do it. So then the cars actually come over, and in the beginning I started like with cheap cars, normal cars, and when you get older and you save some money, you can afford
something like this.
Something like this, yeah. And it helped me also a lot in mountain biking to have the right mindset, because in the beginning, I mean, you were downhiller, I was also downhiller in my younger years.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, when I was a junior, and so 17, 18, I was German champ in downhill, but it's long ago.
So you're basically one of us.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of. Yeah, but in the early days, it was downhill. We were riding on full suspension bikes. So my marathon bike now has more travel than the downhill bike in the early days. No, but coming back to the mindset. So when I was young, I tried to be as fast as possible, and then I crashed also sometimes. And the mindset was just wrong, because I put myself always under pressure. And now it's different. Now I wanna drive or ride as perfect as I can, and then the speed comes automatically. So when you drive as perfect, if you feel the car, the same with mountain biking or in the downhill. If you wanna ride, sure, sometimes you have to take some risk, but in the end of the day, you wanna ride as perfect as you can, and not as fast as you can. So coming back to car driving, if you drive as fast as you want or as you can, it doesn't mean that you're driving perfect.
Yeah.
So, and if you crash the car, it's super expensive. And it's useless, because if you and maybe you can, in a horrible car accident, you can also die.
Yeah.
And so the mindset was, I got the mindset from friends who did car racing, and especially from one guy, Walter Röhrl. And when you drive with this guy, it's everything is so smooth and everything under control.
Yeah.
And then you get the mindset. Okay, you don't want to show off when you drive, or hunting for seconds, or even less. So you want to drive as perfect as you can. Feel the car, feel the front, the back, the steering, the brakes. It's all physics.
Yeah.
So
It's I guess it's kind of like when you watch Greg Minnaar or Luke Bruni or something, when they ride, it doesn't look out of control. It looks looks so easy, but yet they're going faster. It seems to me that it's not always the guy who's just getting wild that's getting the time. It's just like connecting everything and doing everything perfect.
Yeah.
Same like watching Formula One. It sometimes looks a bit undramatic because they're so good at all the lines are perfect, braking points are perfect, acceleration is perfect.
Exactly, it must be perfect, and that's the right mindset. So sometimes I watch also people doing skill clinic, and they go over the limit, and then your brain switches off. So I recognized this one when I did some drift training in the car, and drifting is completely something different to drive a perfect line. So in drifting, you want to slide your car.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I couldn't get it, because once the car was sliding, I tried to correct it immediately, coming from the race course. And then I said, okay, I need to push more. And then I pushed a bit more, and then I lost the car. I spin.
Yeah.
So to find the right balance, and then I started to be aggressive in the car. And my mate, he's an instructor. He said to me, "Hey, I see you now. You just want too much, and your brain doesn't cope it. Yeah, go back to the routine. Go back to the basics." I said, "What's the basics? Just try to get the drift in and stop. Drift, stop. Drift, stop." Okay, so our brain gets used for the automatic process. And that's also with cycling. I also see a big problem with the Safas. They love or South African or other riders as well. They love the long rides. They want to go 100 kilometers on unridden trails, and then they want to learn the technique, but they will never learn. So my opinion is you need to go on a small loop and do the loop 100 times till your brain starts going in out of mind, not thinking about. It must be an automatic process.
Yeah, it's kind of, repetition is what makes you better in most sports.
Exactly.
I always tell people when they ask me about how to get better in mountain biking, I often tell them to ride a pump track, for example, because a pump track you can do 100 laps, and it's always the same. And maybe it's not exactly the same as the hill, but a lot of the same things apply. Pumping, the cornering, your balance points, how you pump for speed. They have jumps often. So a lot of the same things that you need on the mountain, you learn on a pump track, but it's way easier because now you can do it over and over and over and over.
And you're not crashing.
And you're not having the risk as well. And you don't have to deal with mud and stuff like that. So it's a kind of a more controlled setting. But it's actually interesting that it seems that cars, I can see the connection that racing cars can actually help you to become a better mountain biker, potentially.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, to get the right mindset, to not overcook it.
I mean, also you mentioned with the drifting in the car. I mean, the first thing I thought about was, you know what a Schwalbe is? So it's a new thing now. The fastest way to hit a corner on a mountain bike is you want to be as smooth as you can, carry as much exit speed as you can. But now with social media, all the youngsters now, they want to try to blow the back tire off the rim. So they come into the corner on the inside and then just do square off and just whop the corner. But you have no exit speed, but it looks cool on the camera. And then for me, it's something that I really had to practice, like to be able to do, because it was like you trying to drift the car. It was like the exact opposite thing of what I've been trying to practice my whole career. And then suddenly it's like, okay, I have to do the wrong thing now. Try to just literally go as fast as I can and square off the turn. But I can imagine when you're driving a car and then suddenly they tell you now the goal is to lose the grip. It's quite a hard concept to grasp.
And exactly. To lose the grip, like not in a hard way, but in a very soft way, to get the impulse going on the rear wheels. Very easy, very smooth. Yeah. My son.
He's probably wondering what the...
Yeah, he's wondering what.
So maybe we can... so when you mentioned that you were downhill champ in 1996, and that was quite a surprising stat. I didn't know that you were a downhiller before. So maybe you can take us back to the beginning and where... obviously you started with downhill clearly. Where did that start? And then also when did the change come that you started to go for more cross-country marathon direction?
So you're quite younger than I. So in the beginning, like in the 90s, it was, so my first race I did in 92, but...
I was 2.
But yeah, so it was really, it was for fun. I was a young boy, and it was on a hardtail, proper rigid fork, and no suspension at all. 1.9 tires, bar ends on a downhill. That was 92. But then, so my prime downhill times were in 95, 96. And at that time, you still could do both. So in the early years between 90 and 95, 94, I would say, people were doing both, like John Tomic or Ned Over and the early guys. They won cross country World Cup and they won a downhill World Cup. So on similar bikes.
Crazy.
So and from 95, it started to change a little bit.
Yeah.
So bikes get more suspension, and you couldn't really ride with the downhill bike cross country race. And so at that time it was still similar to ride both. And then I think from 97, 98, there was a big change. So no one of the cross country riders would go to the World Cup race in downhill.
And what made you go the direction of sort of cross-country and marathon?
So actually I didn't start, I forgot to say, I didn't start with downhill. I started with mountain biking, cross-country racing, and then I added road racing. And because the coaches or people told, if you want to be a good cross-country rider, you need to do actually a lot of training on the road. So we did the hours on the road and some riding on the mountain bike. And then, like I said, I added downhill in 95 to my events and races. And I did it when I was junior, but it was clearly for me So I don't want to go to a downhill race and spend the whole weekend for a 3-minute downhill, and then you lose the first corner, you crash or lose time, and then it's over. You have to wait for another 2 weeks. So that was clearly not my game.
Yeah.
And that's why I said no, never downhill again. And the change came, and so from that point, it was when I entered the elite class, it was clear that I'm just doing cross-country racing and road racing.
And so that was 97 then you stopped downhill.
Exactly, 97 I stopped downhill.
And then you said you went to cross-country, and was marathon around back then?
It started slowly with marathon racing in 97, but I was too young. I wanted to be a World Cup racer. So my first marathon races I only start doing in 2001.
2001 only, okay.
Only started. Till then I was just cross-country racer, World Cup.
Okay.
Still young, under 23. And
it's interesting that you with that downhill background, because I feel like you've obviously had a lot of success, which we'll chat about in a bit, but I feel like the best cross-country and marathon riders have that skill base as well. I think a lot of riders that don't build up the skill when they're younger, like doing something like downhill, it's a huge problem because they just focus on getting fit and getting strong. But if you look at now, Alan Hatherley won the world champs, and he raced downhill. He was also national champ as a downhill, and Barry Stander also raced downhill. So look at these guys, and I mean, someone like Nino is also really good technically, and I think also in South Africa that's an issue.
Yeah, but I mean, now all the guys, they race downhill. Especially in South Africa, you have all the trails, the tracks, the jump lines. Sometimes I meet some young, in Stellenbosch, if I meet some young guys like 16, 17, 18, and we go to the jump line, and my eyes getting big like that, okay. Okay, I never learned that. So personally, I'm scared of jumping, because I never learned to jump high. So I can drop down somewhere. It can be high, but never like the technique for balancing the bike in the air. So but you're right. So in the beginning, most of the roadies came to mountain biking, and their mountain bike skills were terrible. So I just needed to wait on the uphill, stay on the wheel, and then in the downhill it was easy to put 2, 3, 4 minutes into the guys.
Yeah.
So that helped me definitely. But now if you have a look in the cross-country World Cup or even marathon, they're all on a very, very high level.
Yeah.
All together,
And when was the point, so you did, after the downhill stage, you went into cross-country, and you said 2001 was the first time you did a marathon. And first of all, when was the point that you thought that you could turn this into a career, or was it that always your plan, or was it something that just came about? And when did you decide, or why did you decide to then switch to marathon as opposed to cross-country racing?
Yeah, people ask me always, was it your plan to be a professional? No, never. I mean, I just continued. You're a junior, and then you hope for some results in the elite class, and you train, you suffer, you fight. And then all of a sudden, maybe you finish like a top 5 or top 3 in German champs. And then you think, okay, now I'm at a point where I have some talent.
Yeah.
And then you maybe meet some coaches or some mentors. They tell you what you have to improve. They see what you train. And then, so it's cross-country and marathon is also about time. So you have to spend a lot of kilometers. Your life kilometers must increase till you reach like a certain level. So the same happened to me. I mean, in the beginning, I was talented, but my form curve was always like this. So I never found like a a stable base where I can work from. Yeah, and then I met some guys, some professionals, and they told me I have to train more. I have to train really more. It doesn't help if I train like 12, 13, 14 hours a week.
Crazy.
I have to train like 30, 35 hours.
35 hours a week.
Yeah, 35 hours a week. And then but I liked it. Because I love my bike. I loved my bike. I wanted to be on the bike all day long. I wanted to ride somewhere in the morning and come back late evening and just experience. And and that probably that was my my talent. And then I was riding all day, and then you feel like, okay, legs getting better, shape getting better. You go to the races, and then you add some kind of intervals and some races, and then you get the shape. And over the years, when you stick, you need to stick to the sport, because most of the people, also from my generation, they stopped too early. So they tried like for 1 year or 2 years, and then they saw like, okay, it's useless. I can't be there. And then they stopped. And I continued, always. I continued. I stick to the sport. And then in the right moment, boom, I was there.
And I mean, I think we can all agree that racing marathon or cross country is really hard. In a different way to something like downhill. You know, it's a lot of suffering, and you need to be willing to endure a lot of pain. What is your main motivation? What was your main motivation besides, I guess, winning the race? But was there a different motivation that, you know, because you need a lot of willpower to be able to put in that time to train and also race at that intensity?
You know, it's also a personal thing or personality thing. Some people need a lot of motivation to go for training, and some people need like a structure. They need like a training plan where they stick. If they don't have a training plan, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I was exactly the other person. I hated training plans.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I never had I tried with some coaches and they gave me a training plan. It was a nightmare for me. So I had like an idea what I have to do like in the weeks. You know, okay, like for example, the Epic is in March, and then I started in December some base training. And then I did the base training, and when I felt, okay, the base training is now good, and I feel good, my recovery starts getting better, and I have good legs. Then I added some power training. And when I added some power training, okay, I felt I'm getting better and better and better. Then you rest because you get tired. So it was like a natural process. So and then the next training camp in January, it was a bit faster, a bit longer, and then you're tired again. And the next step was like, okay, now I need some speed, because only from endurance riding you don't get the speed. So I added a lot of speed and even more mountains, and I just went hard on the climbs. Yeah, and maybe meet some mates, and then we did some racing with mates, just to try and drop your mate. That was my training.
That's so crazy. Like, I feel like nowadays everything is, it seems at least so technical, and I think people overthink stuff sometimes too much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's crazy that you just basically figured out your training from how you felt and sort of built it around you.
Yeah, it sounds super easy, but I needed a lot of years to figure out what is good for me and what is not good for me. I also killed myself in some years, and I was like flat. There was nothing possible. I had no shape because I was too tired. I just added way too much training in the wrong time. And it was always a learning curve till I would say when I was 24, 25, and then it stabilized somehow. Yeah, I knew what to do in spring. I knew what to do in winter, and I was quite confident if I stick to this kind of program. It mustn't be like the same program day by day,
Yeah.
but at least you have like a red,
Yeah.
how you call it, a red line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where you just move around.
Yeah. That it's like a base kind of line that you
Exactly.
follow this.
Exactly.
And wow. So I mean, as with any sport, I'm sure that there have been very tough times as well for you, and whether it's an injury or mental struggles or whatever. Was there ever a point that you thought that you don't want to do it anymore, or was there ever a point where it was really the sort of lowest point for you?
Sure. I mean, if I would say no, never, I would lie. No, you always have. I mean, life is always tricky, and once you have like a good year or good times, they never hold on forever. Yeah, that's life. You have to fight through all the negativity what comes to you. Yeah, but I always thought about. I never looked in the back. Always forward. Always forward. So if I had like a bad time, I thought, okay, give it 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then I'm there again where I want. It's just you have to go through.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Always keep going, and leave it as fast as you can behind you. That was my motivation. And sometimes it just needed time.
It's crazy that you had so much of this willpower and grit to keep pushing.
I think that is also kind of personality, DNA, I would say. Like someone gifted.
Yeah.
Maybe God gifted me with with such DNA, and other people, they struggle all the time. So maybe these people can learn how it can be different, It's not always, it was never perfect. So people only see, this guy won the Cape Epic. So, but I struggled a lot before the time. And there were many years where I struggled before the Epic till like a week before, till like 3-4 days before the Epic. And I wasn't sure about my shape. I knew, okay, it's kind of good. But then only like 4 days at the last training, I felt like, okay, I'm ready. But that was also kind of talent to bring to know your body exactly, how to bring it in shape just in time, just right there. Not too early and not too late.
And so on that point, you won the Epic 5 times. 5 times, right?
Yeah.
What did you join Bulls before or only after the first one?
It was after. So with Bulls, it was a cool story. So I won the first Epic in 2004 with Manny Heimans, Mr. African, and then 2005 to 2006 finished second and third, I think, and then I got an offer from Bulls for 2007 to create like a complete new team with all the support I need and I want. And they've been super loyal. So Bulls was a kind of shit brand before. Yeah, and they just wanted to improve and to get a good image.
Yeah.
So they have also a lot of commuter bikes and cheap bikes, and they wanted to add just some high class bikes into their portfolio and to create a nice image through the sport.
Yeah.
And I got the chance, and the guy who asked me, I knew from racing cars.
Funny.
Yeah, he was also racing
All
cars.
comes back.
All comes back. It's like a socializing. If you socialize with a lot of people and they know you, and then it always comes back to you. So and then we started in 2007 the Bulls brand, the Bulls bikes team, not the brand. We started the team, and we were highly motivated with Stefan Sam and Friedemann. Friedemann was my training partner, but then he had to decide either he's the team manager or racing, and he got an opportunity to be the team manager. And we were like three friends. Like cool. Now if you compare it like with Speed Company with Lukas Baum and Georg Egger, so we were kind of the first guys before them, and we got all the support, and that was motivation pure. So we were training like crazy in the winter time, and because we had our team manager was our friend, so we were the bosses.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the company Bulls Bikes were really loyal to everything we did. And then in the first year, 2007, we won the Cape Epic, we won the Trans Schwarzwald, we won the Trans Germany, we won the Trans
Cleaned up.
We won everything. It was super cool. And then you build something. Yeah, we built it a nice era.
Is what for you would be is the Cape Epic sort of the pinnacle, in your opinion, of stage racing, or do you think there's another event that you hold at a higher standard?
No, now definitely the Cape Epic is the highest standard you can get. I mean, that's the Tour de France of mountain biking. And in the early days, the bike Transalp, that was the mother of all stage races, racing over the Alps in 8 days. And I won the Transalp 7 times. And starting in 2002, exactly. And Epic was 2004, the first edition. Yeah, and then from there on, I was racing.
And what was with the Epic specifically, to win it 5 times, it's pretty remarkable. I think you and Salza done it as well 5 times.
Christoph won it also 5 times.
What was the difference? With you, how did you guys, was it something just that you felt like you had naturally, or the way that you trained, or what do you felt like was the game changer for being able to win it 5 times?
I can't.
Or just the ability to suffer more.
I can't even tell you there's a secret. There's no secret. We took it every year. That wasn't like I want to win it now 5 times or 6 times or 7 times. We raced hard. We were exhausted after the race. We were happy it was over because it's really. The Cape Epic to race 8 days. It's really demanding. It's not only hard on your body, racing for 8 days, but also on your mind. Going to bed in the evening and thinking, shit, I need to wake up in 7 hours, and then the suffer shit starts again. And then you wake up like, so you were scared. Sometimes you were scared already going to bed because you were scared to wake up. I must tell you honestly. Looking back now, winning it 5 times, I think, okay, how that was possible. But in the moment, I think the pros probably they suffer more than the hobby riders.
Really?
Yeah, because that's you have the mental stress.
Yeah.
You have
the pressure as well.
Yeah, the hobby riders, the amateurs, they need to get through. So they're also under stress because they want to make the cutoff time. But for us, it's about winning, For us, it's not about making the cutoff time. That if we would just go for cutoff time, it would
really
be
easy.
Like a Christmas present. Yeah. But no, you want to win because you know it's important for the company, for your brand and also for yourself, because you feel responsible also for your sponsors. You want to deliver, you want to show, they pay you money, they support you, and for sure you want to. Well, once you're a racer, you're always a racer. You want to win.
Yeah.
You want to perform at your best level ever, because you spend so many hours in training. Like I said, in winter time, sometimes I started in the dark, and come back in the dark at 0 or -2 or -3 degrees, and then you think, okay, I've been training now the whole winter, freezing my fingers, freezing my feet, and now I also want to deliver, because I'm not training just for fun.
I feel like as well, when you win something multiple times, I experienced that to a degree as well in downhill. When you winning races, it becomes like people expect you to win. So it's, even though every time, for me at least, every time was just as hard as the previous time, but you have this expectation that people are like, because you won it now twice or 3 times, and they're like, oh, but now you're going to win again, because it's like, oh, it's easy for you. You did this before. But I feel like it's not like that for the athlete.
It's not.
It's actually worse, because you have this pressure now. You feel the pressure from everyone else.
Yeah, you feel the pressure. Even, I remember quite well after the Epic, so we went for the route launch in October. The route launch was always in October, November. And they say, hey, but you win it next year again, eh? Yeah, for sure I win it. And then you think like, and you know what's behind, because you have to train a lot. You need the, if you need the extra portion of luck, no flat tires, no mechanicals. And what if your rival is a little bit stronger? Then you have to suffer even more. So all this comes together, and people, they don't realize. They only see like the little of the iceberg, but they don't know what's behind.
What did you talking all about the training? So in the base training season, what would a typical week of training look like for you? Like, I know you say it wasn't always the same, but maybe like a ballpark, because I think people, even me, the amount of miles that you said 35 hours a week of training is insane.
Yeah, 35 was a good week, like a proper week. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I did also more than 40 hours, like in a proper, like in a peak week, I did between 40 and 45 hours.
So it's like you go out, you go out in the morning and you come back in the evening. You ride the whole day.
Yeah. So I had times like I went to Mallorca for the training camp, and I went on my bike at 8:30, 9, and then I rode every day 200, 220 kilometers. It's like 7 hours every day.
That is insane.
Coming back, eat, sleep, repeat. Yeah, that's I remember insane. Like my proper weeks. I was so motivated that I wanna also try if it is good for my body or not. So I did in 15 days 2,750 kilometers on Mallorca. Yeah, with no group, alone.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was every day 200 kilometers riding. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Is that on the road?
On the road, yeah. The base training on the road. And then the first week I went just flat or little hills, and then the second week I went through all the big climbs. And your body gets used for it, and all of a sudden, if you train for 100 kilometers, it feels like a rest day. Yeah, I went for 100 kilometers in the morning, and then I didn't know what to do the whole afternoon. I was bored.
For me, if I go for I'm not normally on the road, but on the mountain bike. But for me, if I go for like 30 Ks on the mountain bike on just single track, like that's a big ride for me.
It is a big ride, but what I also tell people, if you go on the road, your brain doesn't cope so many information, because you just see the road, maybe some cars. But while you're going on the mountain bike, you get much more information. You see the rocks, the little trail, the trees, everything.
Yeah.
And so there's much more information going through your eyes into your brain. You need to digest everything. That's why it makes you tired so quick.
Interesting.
Yeah, and on the road, you just see the road. There's not many information. It's like a computer, you know. So you just get all this. You don't need to concentrate.
Yeah.
So I realized that in the beginning, when I came the first time to South Africa, and you have to drive on the left side of the road.
Yeah.
So in the first moment, it's a little bit not panic, but you have to concentrate yourself a lot. When you go into the roundabout or if you're in the town, and then you have to, because your brain starts working like proper. While when I'm at home, it's all automatic. You don't need to think.
Yeah.
It's all automatic.
Well, I hope it's automatic in this car.
Yeah.
Because when we were driving, I was like praying that we...
But that is also a thing. The first time I drove like with a professional car driver, with Walter Earl, he was going like crazy speed on a normal road, and I was on the limit. I was sweating. I was praying in the car, and I just thought, okay, because of you, he's not going to show off.
Yeah.
And he never crashed before in his life. He's 65 now, and he never crashed, not because of you. No, but what I also realized, his brain is so used for the information. He doesn't even look straight on the road. He doesn't need, because his brain is coping it, so he's digesting it.
Yeah.
So he watches always left and right for wild animals.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And see what's around the car.
You're just looking straight.
Yeah, I was just looking straight, and always when we were driving, I was watching you all the time to see how.
Yeah.
But that's the difference, you know. You have to train.
Yeah.
You have to train your brain for the information.
Same like mountain biking, actually. Like when you
Exactly.
get good, you are processing so many different... If you're going through a rocky section or whatever, you're processing what's coming at you, also what's coming from the side. Maybe a loose rock rolls in your way. Maybe,
Exactly.
you know, and it's actually crazy how much your brain can
And
process.
your brain starts processing, and if you're not used for it, so and then you're focusing. So if a route comes, so you have just a short look on the route, and then it's done. It's digested already. You know, okay, there's a route, and your body does automatically. While a hobby rider, he sees the route, and then he looks at the route, he looks, and then he crashes on it.
Do you think?
You understand?
I think, for me, obviously, I'm not racing cars, but I've felt like riding and racing downhill has made me a much better driver on the road.
I believe
being
so.
able to, because obviously there's so many things, as we said now, that you're processing while you're riding, especially at speed, trees, rocks, roots, and you have to be so quick, and everything is like instinct. And I feel like when I've driven with other people, you know, sometimes things happen and I notice it immediately because you're always like scanning, and it's automatic because you're so used to it. But whereas other people don't see it, and their reaction time is way slower. And I don't know if it's just coincidence that I've noticed that, but that's the feeling I get.
I believe when you start driving cars now, you will learn so quick. It's just if you have that ability for speed, because your brain can process. It's just a little bit of training, and you get it also in cars, because you also have it on a downhill bike.
That's the next goal, to get one of these. To get one of these, I'm gonna have to sell a lot of bikes to get one of these. So we were talking obviously road and off-road and stuff, and maybe a little bit of a controversial topic, but I feel like you're pretty easy going with this. But with the sport, with cycling in general, there's been obviously at certain points there's been a lot of controversy with drugs and stuff in the sport. I mean, and it's changed a lot. I feel like over the years it's sort of had these waves. And what have you ever seen that in the sport, like been personally exposed to it, number one? And number two is, how do you think the sport, or where do you think the sport is now in relation to where it was maybe 10 years ago?
So what I see now is completely different to like 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have all this nutrition scientists and coaches, and they are really on a really high level. And now the power cranks came into the game, and they can control very easy, and they can calculate your threshold, your training performance. They know exactly when your fuel is empty, and that wasn't in the early days. I mean, the history of the sport comes even from the war. Yeah, they were riding, and I think they just took drugs in the past just to survive. Also the long races. I mean, in the past, can you imagine on these shitty bikes with one gear going over the Alps 300 kilometers, and how you want to survive? And I mean, if you have easy access, and it was allowed, it was allowed. If you have easy access to hardcore drugs, and you don't feel the pain anymore, I would also take it. I mean, if it's allowed. I mean, now we have a different mentality. For sure. Now I would never take it because I know it's not good. It's shit for your body and also for your health, and and there are certain rules, and that is good because can you imagine everyone could be doing what they want? They would get horns everywhere. I don't know. No, time changed, and also people asking me why you think the young generation is so strong now. Also, I must tell, when I was young, there was a certain hierarchy. So when you were riding in the peloton, and the older guys, they were always educating the younger ones. And now, because they can measure when you do like a power test, and they can measure your ability. They see what kind of engine you have originally. And some of these guys, they have a freaking big engine from DNA. They just...
That's not something you can train. It's just you're born with that.
You're born with that. So God has a big heart. He gave it to someone. Or he had some proper legs, and he gave it to some. Or skills like Bruni or Greg Minard. I mean, you can't train this. You can train to a certain point, but the rest, it's gift. And that's cool to see how people can be so gifted. Like for example now Pogacar or Van der Poel. They're just super gifted. And if everyone would train like they train, they would never be like them. So definitely it's a gift. In the past I always thought, why the other guys don't train like I do? But then they can win the epic. No, it would never happen. Because I have another gift like other people. And you can't compare. You can compare to a certain point. You can calculate and make a super training program. But even the top guys, they always train alone. Never like in a group like in the past. In the past, they always trained like 10 to 20 people all together. And the guys with most fitting for the training, or strong guys, they were always in front.
Because I mean, it's hard for me. I've been a professional athlete as well, but obviously downhill is a completely different world. But there were times where I would be putting in, I couldn't put in more work. I didn't know how to recover well enough to put in more work. But then you go to the race and you see someone come down, for example, Val d'Isole or something like a crazy difficult track, and they don't even look out of breath. They're just like, and I'm like,
boom.
And I'm just, I think I know how hard I work and how much training that I was putting in, and then you just think, how is it possible? And the same when you watch people doing the Epic or Tour de France, it's like, how can the human body sustain that, for 8 days, or the Tour de France for multiple weeks? I mean, how is that possible? It's crazy.
It is possible. It is possible to sustain for such a long time, but you must also think they don't have to care about anything. I mean, they have a special food truck going with them. They have a truck with mattresses that they can sleep the best ever. They have their own pillow, they have their own blanket, they have their own mattress, and then they have a food truck with a kitchen, everything. So they get, it's like on the edge. Everything is on the edge, as perfect as they can. That's why they're so good. They don't have to care about anything. They just need to be fast on the bike.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of fast on the bike, so best moment for you in your career? I mean, you've obviously won the Epic 5 times. You won all these other races. Which one is there one that sticks out as sort of above the rest?
Yeah, there's one moment in the Epic. It was the first time with Stefan Sam in 2007. We came as rookies. We just built the team or created a team structure with bulls, and then we won the first stage in a drama final. We were dropped on the last climb, and I was riding 2 weeks ago on that climb in the gravel burn. Yeah, so next year there's a new gravel event, and everything comes back into mind. And we were dropped by 40 seconds, maybe a minute, even a bit more than a minute. And I told Stefan, hey, be relaxed. We have good tires on the bike, the Schwalbes. We're gonna catch them. It was Roel Paulison, Jakob Fuglsang. And I told them, we're gonna catch them back on the downhill, and then we sprint them over. And we did. And then we won the first stage. And then the whole Epic was a whole drama, because the yellow jersey changed every day. And in the end, we won the Epic, and it was like, it was one of the best moments. We created a team, and then we delivered. But most important, when something unexpected comes, and you get surprised, that is super special, and that was special in the Epic. I mean, we were hoping to win it, but not hoping. We never thought about to win the Epic, but like to perform, maybe on podium, and then in the end we won it. And we still like brothers, like 17 years after, and that's a cool friendship. That's also sport can be.
I guess you get to know someone pretty well when you're suffering with them for 8 days.
In the prime time when we were racing, I think I spent more time with Stefan in bed than with my wife. Sounds weird, but...
And I mean, I'm sure that I know that you also have a bit of a wild side as well. Like to have a party every now and again. And were there big after parties after the Epic?
Oh yeah. There was always the stage 9. We invented stage 9. So the Epic has 8 stages.
Okay.
And stage 9.
Okay.
Stage 9 was always. We even created a company with the name Stage 9.
No way.
Because of the
That's
spirit. Cool. Yeah. When you race hard, you train hard, you race hard, and then you party hard. So we used to party in Stellenbosch till 7 in the morning after the Epic. Yeah. Yeah, because we celebrated it. It wasn't just a race for us. It was a lifestyle.
Craziest story after party wise that happened. Was there ever anything that really sticks out that was like wild?
Oh,
too many.
Every party was nice. I mean, it wasn't stupid crazy. You know, not like doing stupid stuff, destroying stuff, or just jumping off the roofs and smashing cars. It was just a cool party, nice atmosphere, for sure. Some drinks, lots of drinks, and you get smashed, but dancing all together and just celebrating the week. I mean, that sticks out. Yeah, it's not just being stupid and doing stupid stuff. Just having a good time.
So on the party side of things, I thought it's a good time to bring it up. You obviously seen you know that I'm sponsored by OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you,
Yeah,
what's it about?
Yeah. So I'm sponsored by OnlyFans. They actually have now almost 300 athletes that they're sponsoring around the world through different sports, and there's a lot of mixed emotions, I would say. Some people really love it, some people are not a fan of it. What's your take on it? Do you have a take on it? Do you think it's a good thing? For me personally, it's been a huge benefit for me, and I think for the athletes, especially in a sport, in a lot of sports that are not football or something, to have more money come into the sport and offer athletes opportunity to actually make a decent living. But yeah, what do you think of it?
Honestly, I never thought about. I combine OnlyFans only with strange chicks. But I never paid for anything.
Yeah. Sure.
So are you kind of OnlyFans? No, I think it's a cool thing. Something super special, because you can also provide with special content, and people know if they go on OnlyFans, they know maybe what to expect if they know you, and I would support it.
Cool. It's nice to get a straightforward answer, because it is different, and I think the whole sort of goal for them is to change the image to some degree.
Yeah.
And to show that the platform is more than just adult content, and there's a whole other side to it as well. Obviously, it will take some time, but I think nowadays, I think it's always good to have more support coming into sport. But it is definitely a talking point for sure.
Yeah, because, like I said, I wasn't...
People see me. My van has got OnlyFans on the side, and when I'm like the funny thing is when I'm driving with my fiance, for example, and then we pull up at a petrol station or something, we get out and you see people like looking at us, and I'm wearing like an OnlyFans cap, and then the two of us are like cruising around, and they're like, "What is going on here?"
What's in the back of the car?
No, but it's
special cameras.
It's the funny thing is it's been it's been really good for me publicity wise as well, because even though it's a talking point, and as they say, any publicity is good publicity to a degree, and it's definitely, there's way more people that know me now because
maybe you can do some contact also for me.
Oh man. So now, we've come all the way through now to after you won the epic,
we have a lot of teams now.
Yeah, to 2016, you've won the epic the final time, right?
Yeah.
And when did you? So now you're still racing, but more age category and stuff, and not so sort of not full time, should I say? When did you sort of step away from full-time, like 100% focus on the epic and stuff, and what does life kind of look like for you nowadays as opposed to when you were full on?
So now I'm a brand ambassador for Bulls. I grew up with the brand, and they can't without me, and I can't without them, and I try to support them everywhere. So I'm the quiet person behind, giving ideas where to go, have maybe a little overview or some stuff. And for sure, I always wanted to be in the scene, because I love the sport. I love cycling. I love mountain biking, and there's no better way to do it. Still going to events and be a little bit competitive. And creating some cool stories. So I've been racing now with Tommy Missa, former downhill champion. He won the Downhill World Cup. He also switched a little bit to brand ambassador, or not a little bit, he's a brand ambassador, and doing videos, doing stories, and producing content. So it was a cool experience to race with him. He learned a lot from me, how to race in marathon racing. And I learned a lot from him, how create good content and tell also a nice story to the people, because there are so many people out there. They want to see what is Karl Platt doing after his career, and so that's my main point. I still love doing the epic. And then 2 years ago, I raced with Christoph Sauser, with my biggest rival. I mean, we were respectful to each other, not always respectful, but we were definitely not friends. And now I can tell after the racing with him together, we learned so much from each other, and we talked also a lot of cool things, which we didn't see when we were professionals.
Yeah.
So we were like a horse with this.
Yeah.
How you call it?
Blinkers.
With the horse blinkers, and we just wanted to win, and we were hard rivals. But we also created some nice stories. We created a nice legacy in the past 2 years, because we shared the wins between us, and so that's what I'm doing. So I added some other stuff to my living, to my portfolio, some property I started 15 years ago, and now I'm spending also some time into property. Yeah, just being around, going on the race course, having a bit more time driving this car, and making new contacts, and not being a full professional anymore. I really enjoy. So if I feel like I don't want to train today, I don't train, and if I don't want to ride tomorrow, I don't ride tomorrow. So whenever I feel like I'm having fun doing stuff, I'm doing it, and it's a privilege, privileged lifestyle. What I have.
I mean,
I have a family. I have 3 kids. They're grown up, and my son is 18, so he doesn't. He's okay with cycling or mountain bikes, but he never cycles. So, but he's more in motorsport. He does go-karting and stuff. And now he's 18, and I'm driving with him on the race course. And so it's cool to spend also some time with your kids, with your family, and having a good time.
I mean, you worked hard. I think that there's a bit of a misconception maybe with professional athletes, because I think it's glamorized. How do you say glamorized? Made to look more glamorous on social media than it really is sometimes. Yeah. And I think people see you on the podium, and they see you spraying the champagne, and they're like, wow, he's got the dream life, you know. He just he travels around the world, rides his bike, and makes money and lives the perfect life. But for me, at least, I also found it was, you know, it can be quite a lonely life, you know, because you spend a lot of time on your own training and things like that, and also it's not quite what it looks like on social media. And
I mean, sportsmen can be very selfish. Because if they have the dream and they chase the dream, they lose completely overview over their lives. Some of professional sportsmen. So sometimes, or not sometimes, a family can give you like the perspective why you're still living, and that sport is not everything. Just to having a good balance. And my family always gave me a good balance between, my wife told me also she was born in Russia, and she's straight out, and she can be sometimes very loud, and but she's a lovely person. I love her very much, and she one cool thing she did is like I was waiting for my first German national title in marathon very long, for 8 years. I've been always like top 5, top 6 at worlds in marathon, and German championships I never been better than 8th place. So finally, after 8 years, I won the German national title, and it made me so happy to finally get this shit, and and then I was so proud, and I came home And we went with the team to Burger King, and I had this crown, put the crown on, and came, and she watches me. She said, "Look, there's the garbage. Bring it out." Said,
Bring you back down to earth really fast.
Yeah, she brings me back to earth very fast. Yeah.
What do you think I think it's sort of, as I said, most people think that it's really cool to be a professional athlete, and I think it is. But there are also a lot of hard parts. And what do you think was the hardest part for you about being a pro athlete?
At one point, it was so in the beginning when you're motivated and you're chasing your dream and you go, everything is easy. I mean, even riding 45 hours a week, it doesn't bug you at all because you're loving it. You're just in your movie. You're in your bubble. There's nothing else existing outside your bubble, you know. And you know, I must do it. There's no shortcut. I must do it because you want to perform.
You want to win.
Yeah, but then when you've done it like for many years, for 10 years or 12 years or 15 years, and then you sit 8 hours on the bike and you think, again 8 hours. Why I'm doing this shit? I've done it already for 15 years. Why I'm doing it again? So you lose a little bit the perspective, and that's when you start doing the shortcut. It still works for a few years, but then you missed already. So that was a hard point for me to realize, okay, when it's over, you know. It's hard. So when I turned like 40, 41, I realized already, okay, I can't get there anymore. That was a hard part.
More mentally or physically?
Both.
Okay.
But first of all, mentally, because you realize, okay, your career is now over, and you can chase your dreams. But in the same moment, you said, hey, I achieved so much.
Yeah.
What you want to do? Are you stupid?
I think there's a lot of questions with when you see, you know, top athletes at the top, and then they say, oh, why don't you retire on the top, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's so hard.
It's difficult.
When you're winning and you're having fun and you feel like on the top of the world, then it's even harder to stop then, because why you want to stop? You're the best now, you know, and
and also there's also like you don't want to lose your lifestyle. It's a nice lifestyle, but now it's even better. Yeah, that's the thing. So we are scared to do something new, to try something new, because we are like human. They love the rhythm. Yeah. They always want to do what they know and what they're used for, and so new things creates always stress in life. But you have to do it all the time because it's good for you. Your learning curve goes up.
I mean, that's why I'm here and starting this podcast, because I knew that I don't want to race downhill forever, and I need to at some point make a decision. You know?
And I think downhill is even harder because when you get older, you start realizing, okay, when you crashed a few times, you had also a bad crash and breaking your hip. I mean, the rotor, both. Yeah, the rotor recovery. It's tiring, and it's when you've done it once, you say, okay, one time it's no problem, but then for the next time you maybe think, oh, don't
do this again. You know?
Do this again. It's painful.
I think it's also the mental struggle is worse almost than the physical pain. You know, the physical pain is hard, but it goes away in some time.
Yeah.
But the mental struggle, because you know how hard it is to get to a certain level and how long it takes, and now to make it through this recovery and build yourself back up, and then when it happens again, you know, and I think it also changes for me, it changed my perspective on life in general, because before I had a really bad injury, it was sort of racing was my life, and not that I didn't care about anything, but racing was the most important, and no matter what, everything else was secondary. Like, for sure, I cared about my family and stuff, but it was always, it was racing first, you know. And suddenly when you can't anymore and you have to contemplate like, maybe I can't even race anymore, then what? Who am I now without the sport? And you realize then that actually the people around you, your family, your friends, that is the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many trophies you have in the cabinet.
Exactly.
Like, if you're by yourself, then it doesn't help, you know.
After a year, no one reminds, because there's always every year.
A year.
Remembers, because there's every year someone new coming and winning.
And you have a lot more friends when you win, you know.
Yeah.
Like when you win the race, everyone's phoning you and messaging you and da-da-da. When you broken in the hospital, then you see who the real friends are, because then you get like 1 or 2 text messages.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would have changed if looking back?
Sometimes I would have changed sometimes just to be more smart.
More smart.
More smart to avoid mistakes. But then in the end of the day, I think these mistakes I've done, they're character building. If I wouldn't do the mistakes, I would never learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all mistakes we do, they're for a reason. It makes you a better person.
Yeah.
And that's most important. It's not about, in the end of the day, it's not about winning. It's nice to have a bonus to win, but being a nice person, it's much more important. That's my conclusion.
It's a smart way to look at it. So we're at the final question now, which I asked the same question to everyone to get their perspective. So it's a 2-part question. What does success mean to you? And the second part is, what do you think has been the biggest factor in your success, in you getting to the point that you are now? It could be a character trait. It could be, you know, some sort of motivation from when you were younger. You know.
Okay. What's my biggest success?
So what does success mean to you? So what do you consider successful? Whether you made a lot of money or you won a certain amount of races or.
So success, like I said before, when you put a lot of time, effort, and strength into what you're doing, you need a kind of reward. It doesn't mean winning or in any kind of result in a position in the race. For sure, if you win, that's the biggest reward you can get. But you can also get some little rewards. Yeah. I mean, if you put so much time and effort into something, it can be also like building a car or
building a house.
Building a house, and you see the result. That's the reward. Also in training, the more you're smart, the better reward you get. That means success for me, and it's built on your own sacrifice.
And your personal journey and career, is there one thing or something that you feel that has been the thing that has helped you to be successful? Because I mean, so many people try to become, whether it's in business or in sport or in a relationship even, they try to be successful, but it often doesn't work out.
Yeah. So what helped me, it's my environment, friends, my wife, my family, parents, all my surrounding. I always said it's very important to be in a good environment, that you're always very balanced. I mean, you can train. I also sometimes I had years I wanted too much, and then people told me, "Hey, you're getting an asshole." I said, "Hey, why?" I don't understand this, because that was always a view just from my side, and I wanted to do more, and I started being an asshole. Yeah, just being not arrogant, but not paying attention to other people.
Yeah.
Just selfish, because I wanted too much, and then they say it's not you, it's not Karl. Normally you're another person.
Yeah.
You're much more balanced, and I think that's very important to have good friends. But good friends you only get if you invest first.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you give first, you get good friends. If you expect too much from the other, it doesn't work like that. Always give first. Yeah, I think that's success.
Karl, thank you very much for making the time and taking me for a spin in this beast of a car. One of these days I'm going to have one. That's a promise to myself. But thank you very much. And
it was cool.
Hey,
thanks for visiting me. Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
Excited for the next time we can have a battle on the Hockenheimring or the Nürburgring.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool.
That was iconic.